Hey YouTube, Wig here, bringing you all my Fang of Critias Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile for July 2020. I wanted to start working on the legendary dragon decks that focused on Critias, Hermos, and Timaeus, along with the legendary knights, which are the true forms of the dragons. I figured I'd start with one of the more popular decks, which is the Fang of Critias. It's definitely one of the decks that's more viable just with the support we have, able to utilize all the different trap cards with the Fang of Critias to fusion summon out the different trap dragons using Mirror Force, Ring of Destruction, Crush Card Virus, you name it, and all the different cards Kaiba used for that support. Definitely strong traps on their own, but even stronger when you use Fang of Critias to summon out those fusion monsters. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. Now, we'll go ahead and start off with the spells for the lineup, since the Fang of Critias is one of the main go-to ones. I'm running 3 the Fang of Critias. This card's always treated as Legendary Dragon Critias. You send one trap from your hand or field to the graveyard that's listed on a fusion monster that can only be special summoned with the Fang of Critias. If that card is set, reveal it, then special summon that fusion monster from your extra deck. You can only activate 1 the Fang of Critias per turn, but it's your main go-to spell depending on the type of dragon you want to summon out, which we have all the different powerful trap dragons that Fang of Critias can become. So having all these different options depending on the trap card we also have on the field or in the deck, very, very useful for getting out these monsters and then just handling all the different cards we have against our opponent. So you wanted more support that worked with these type of cards, trap card search, setup, you name it, and just good amount of all those different traps to rely on with the Fang of Critias. So you definitely want to run 3 of it being your main card in the deck. As for the added backup spell support, I decided to go with the Lair of Darkness support. It just works very well with cards like Lilith, Lady of Lament, being able to search out all the different traps and just have a more, offensive capability with the different dragon monsters that we run with that setup as well. So 3 Lair of Darkness, all face-up monsters on the field become dark, and once per turn, if you attribute a monster you control to activate a card effect, you contribute 1 dark monster your opponent controls, even though you do not control it. And once per turn during the end phase, special summon as many torment tokens with 1000 attack and defense as possible to each player's field in defense position up to the number of monsters attributed this turn while this card was face up and activated. So you just have that option to then use your opponent's resources with this card, giving you more and more options for your different dragons on the field. And you can also search it with some of the other different monsters we're running, just as added backup support to the Fang of Critias and its trap support. And along with the 3 of these cards being a field spell, we do have the monster search. I also just run the 1 terraforming for the additional search to get these cards out and searched from the deck, and then have more power with our different draws for more cards that can be utilized with the Fang of Critias. And I also run the 3 Allure of Darkness. It definitely does feel weird starting with the spells. We haven't gotten to the monsters yet. But with this, the majority of the monsters we are running in the main deck are dark. So just more and more draw power to get to the traps we want or the specific monsters we need for the plays. So 3 Allure of Darkness definitely needed and handy for just that spell search altogether. And with the additional numbers, if you have like multiple Lair of Darkness in your hand or anything like that, I am also running 2 Magical Stone Excavation. You discard 2 cards, then target 1 spell card in your graveyard, add to your hand. Now, we have 3 Fang of Critias, but I'm definitely running more numbers than just 3 in the deck to use. So I want options to add this card back to your hand to reuse. And you just need the Fang of Critias and 1 of the traps to use for your fusion monster. So Magical Stone Excavation is a great recycle power using cards that I have maybe doubles of, or ones that would just be better set up in the graveyard, and then I can use the 1 trap that may be already set up on the field or still in my hand to go into the fusion monster I want as well. Being able to use Critias more than 3 times a duel as well using this recycle spell card. And I also run for the 1-ofs 1 Foolish Burial and 1 Super Polymerization. I know the Critias Dragons are your main go-to fusions in the deck. I just wanted another option for some other fusion dragons using our monsters we run in the deck as a more added option to go into some more powerhouses in the extra deck. And Foolish Burial helps to set up our Darkest Diablos, Lord of the Lair, in the graveyard to summon out onto the field also. that is it for the spells. We'll now move on to the monsters. I was about to say traps. I'm definitely not used to starting off with the spells, but for the monsters, I'm running for the monsters 3 Lilith, Lady of Lament. If this card is normal summon, the original attack becomes 1000. Quick effect, you contribute 1 dark monster, reveal 3 normal traps from your deck. Your opponent randomly chooses 1 for you to set on the field, and shuffle the rest back into your deck. You can use this effect of Lilith, Lady of Lament, once per turn. But the tribute power works well with the field spell, being able to tribute your opponent's monsters and keep Lilith, could have 1000 attack to use with some of the other traps we're using for the Fang of Critias deck, including Crush Card Virus for that play, or just being able to search out any of the traps we want for the plays for our different fusion dragons is all the better as well. So definitely want to run 3 of this just for that easy search setup as well. And I also run 3 of the Darkest Diabolos, Lord of the Lair. Your opponent cannot tribute this face-up monster on the field and cannot target it with card effects. You can use each of these effects of Darkest Diabolos, Lord of the Lair, once per turn. If a dark monster you control is tributed, except during the damage step, you could special summon this card from your graveyard, or if it was there when you tribute it in your hand, even if not. So you have both the option from your hand or graveyard. That's why you run the Foolish Burial Search with this card. Or you can tribute 1 dark monster, opponent, and place 1 card from their hand on either the top or bottom of the deck. So you, with that tribute power, once again working very well with Lair of Darkness, just having another dragon option for the power plays makes it so we have dark monsters on the field to go into other monsters like Starving Venom, and making your opponent's monsters dark with super polarization gives you more and more uses with these cards, even if you only control one or the other on the field. And I also run 3 Arima, the Wicked Warden. You can discard this to add 1 Lair of Darkness from your deck to your hand, so more search power, and you can tribute 1 dark monster to draw 1 card, or if you tributed a dark monster other than this card to activate this, you can add 1 dark monster with 2000 or more defense from your deck to your hand instead. You can use this effect of Arima, the Wicked Warden, once per turn. Search power and just more setup for the monsters. Being able to search out the field spell along with terraforming is just an added plus for sure to get important cards we need for all of our different plays. And just one more additional fiend I wanted to run to help set down and shut down our opponent's plays, and that is Chaos Hunter. When your opponent special summons a monster, except during the damage step, you can discard 1 card, special summon this card from your hand, and your opponent cannot banish cards. So you can discard your Darkest Diabolos, setting it up in the graveyard, special summoning Chaos Hunter. Your opponent cannot banish cards, and then you're all good to go with your trap effects when you summon out the Fang of Critias spells, relying on your Chaos Hunter, and then having the option for Diabolos in the graveyard, then getting out your fusion dragons all together also. And that is it for the monsters. We'll now move on to the traps. For the trap setup, I wanted to go with the more important traps, I would say. Just ones for the setup. So I'm running 2 Crush Card Virus. Now with this would be to go into your Doom Virus Dragon. And also just having the dark monsters that we run in the main deck to tribute for this card altogether to use the actual effect. Your opponent takes no damage until the end of the next turn after this card resolves. You also look at your opponent's hand and all monsters they control. And if you do, destroy monsters among them with 1500 or more attack, then your opponent can destroy up to 3 monsters with 1500 or more attack in their deck. So it just really kills the playstyle that your opponent may use their deck for, getting rid of important monsters. But most of the time, this Crush Card Virus is set up for the Critias play, and we have 2 of it in the deck, so we can also have that search power for our trap trick. And I also run the 1 Ring of Destruction and the 1 Tyrant Wing. This is so we have both of the fusion options for Tyrant Burst Dragon and also our Destruction Dragon. If you wanted to run more of one or the other, if you want to run more Tyrant Wing, you can replace Ring of Destruction with Tyrant Wing, and then vice versa as well for both these cards, depending on which fusion monster you may have wanted to run more of in the deck. But if you wanted to go with each of them, I would say the 1 of for both is fine as well for those options. And also I run 3 Mirror Force, along with just being Mirror Force altogether. It's used to make Mirror Force Dragon, definitely probably one of my favorites of the Critias dragons, but also very useful as a trap altogether. The easiest of the different Critias traps to use, just because it's just when your opponent attacks, destroy all their attack position monsters. And for that setup, it definitely does come in handy with all the other different traps we're running, just as setup on the field. You can set some, baiting out your opponent with some of the plays you may do, and then also just rely on using them as actual traps while saving the other ones for Critias. And I also run 2 Eradicator Epidemic Virus. This one is great with our Diabolos and also our Chaos Hunter, which we're running in the deck just for the tribute to be able to take out your opponent's spell and traps. An added backup to Crush Card Virus. I would definitely say I use Eradicator Epidemic Virus more than the actual Crush card because I save this one for Critias when I make it. So just having 2 of this is an added backup to set up on the field, all the better, because then I can keep my opponent guessing with which one of the traps I activated. And I also run the 3 back to the front. This one I really do love because I can summon back my Lilith onto the field to get more searches for the tribute, since it is a quick effect for the effect to tribute, being able to also tribute my opponent's cards for resources if I have the field spell set up. And also to finish off the main deck, I run 3 Trap Trick. Now I run multiples of a lot of different normal traps, so just being able to set them up by sending other ones is all the better, just giving me more and more search for those options for all the different ones that I am running. And like I said, if you wanted to add an additional number and just switch around those trap numbers in the deck to give you more searches for the Trap Trick as well, you can do that, but it's just a great setup for sure, having that known trap I want along with Lilith, depending on what I need for Critias as well for my fusion summon. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. I run 2 Mirror Force Dragons. With this, it must be special summoned with the Fang of Critias, using Mirror Force, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. When a monster you control is targeted for an attack or by an opponent's card effect, except during the damage step, you can destroy all cards your opponent controls. Definitely a scary card for sure. Being able to rely on this just for that power play alone makes it that scary. And then being able to take care of a lot of your opponent's different cards, protecting your other cards in the same manner with Mirror Force Dragon, basically doing the same thing the trap does, reflecting any attack coming your way. For the 1-ofs, I run the 1 Doom Virus Dragon and the 1 Tyrant Burst Dragon with Tyrant Burst, Tyrant Wing. You use it basically like Fang of Critias, and it cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each, and you can target one face-up monster you control. Equip this monster to that target. It gains 400 attack and defense. Also can make up to 3 attacks during each battle phase. So the scary part is with your other dragon that we are running, which is Darkest Diabolos. Having the equipped power with Tyrant Burst makes it that much scarier. And with Doom Virus Dragon, if this card is special summoned, look at your opponent's hand and all monsters they control and all cards they draw until the end of the 3rd turn after this effect's activation. Destroy all monsters with 1500 or more attack. That's why I love this card compared to Crush card. It's basically like the actual Crush card that we can rely on, and just being able to take care of a lot of my opponent's different problem cards as well using this card. And lastly, for the Critias cards, the 1 Destruction Dragon, using Ring of Destruction with Fang of Critias. Once per turn, you can target 1 card your opponent controls, destroy it. If it was a monster card, inflict damage to your opponent equal to that card's original attack. A true defensive card, monster stat-wise, but just being able to destroy your opponent's cards that hit for big damage especially makes this one viable card for sure in the deck as a whole. For more of the fusion support, I'm running the 1 Predaplant Triple Furtum and the 1 Starving Venom. Just for more super polymerization plays, we run the 1. So just having the option depending on how many dark monsters are on the field as well. And for the Link monsters, I'm running 1 Wee Witch's Apprentice, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Barricade Board Blocker just to recycle the field spell if I need to, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Triple Burst Dragon, 1 Borreload Dragon, and 1 Boral Sword Dragon for the Link monsters when I need to make them or if I just have the option to also. And as for your go-to plays, the ones you just want to rely on the most in the deck are just setting up the trap setup that I mentioned before, using your Lilith, Lady of Lament, depending on the trap you want to search out, and then just relying on opening up Fang of Critias, your go-to spell card for all your fusion plays, having the recycle power with Magical Stone Excavation to get multiple Fang of Critias plays off more than 3 times in one game, and then using other cards to banish your dark monsters and thin out the deck so you can easily search out your main go-to spell card. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Like I said, I'll definitely want to be working on Hermos and also Timaeus for their versions of the deck. Completely different play styles for both of them that focus more on what Yugi and Joey use, but definitely going to be a lot of fun. And then also implementing all of them into the Legendary Knights deck. It'll be easier to collect all these cards once we get the new support for Dragons of Legend, the completed series, I believe is what the set called. Either way, can't wait. And I hope you all enjoyed the video. Until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Twig out.